Volume 1, here we go. An extra sharp knife. You got your Packer brisket you've just picked up from Costco or wherever. I always start on top. Get that nice slice. You want to round off your corners. Give it some aerodynamics, as they say. I don't know, it just looks a little nicer in my opinion. But I always start on the top. I always like to trim up the sides because sometimes when they're bagged, especially the Packer briskets, you'll get that kind of odd looking meat. It looks a little gray. It does have a tendency to dry out. So I always make sure mine's cornered off. And then see where that point is? I always make sure I leave one pointy edge that runs right along where the grain is. So then when I'm trimming it up at the end, it's covered in bark. It looks amazing. You always know this is exactly where I start my cut. When you flip it over, you always find, for me anyways, one side of the decal is always one side of the fat cap for me is always way thicker than the other. So I chop that down. I try to trim up as much as possible. Like this one, on the point, I hit the muscle. That for me is not a huge deal because there's so much fat in there anyways. Personally, I like to make a little bit of extra bark on the bottom. So I got no problem with having that little spot of love there. I always start off my binders with a little mustard, and then I always switch to the Bear & Burton's W sauce. It's an amazing sauce out of the States. Not sure how new it actually is, but it finally hit Canada. I've wanted to try it for a long time, and since I've started, it's been absolutely amazing. See here, I'm using bare hands because, hey, I'm a chef. I wash my hands repeatedly over and over and over, and that's just the way I do it. I'm not going to go through 100 nitrate gloves to do 7 briskets. And at the end here, you're going to see when you've got all your seasonings on, you let it soak in for about 15 minutes. 100% of the time, I'm always seasoning with my Cowboy's Choice beef blend. It's big chunks, granulated garlic, pepper, all the goodies, and this is what it should look like.